You want to try?
Like, that would be.
So let's plug it into this. All right, so let's turn the lights off in the back, please. You can, let's see, you can keep the back lights on, see if that helps. I think them all off is good because it's so bright outside. And sir, are we ready?
Yeah.
Heat up.
Sure.
Okay.
You're running over here.
Beautiful. Pardon some of the technical challenges. It's not the first time it's happened. Probably won't be the last time. But I want to thank you all for showing up. I know there's a lot going on today in multiple rooms, and a lot of people who wanted to make it but couldn't do the logistics. So we are recording this so we can replay it. You can share it with your classmates and colleagues and friends, family, significant others. So this is a talk today about our Peru trip that we did as the first of its kind for Bastyr. And this was a student trip that I had hosted in September of this year. So I wanted to welcome you to the talk. We're just going to be recapping what the event was like and looking at some other events as well coming into the future. And we have a guest as well that I'd like to introduce in the talk. Actually, I'll introduce you now because Dr. John had done some. Go ahead and stand up for us, Dr. John, if you don't mind. Say welcome, Dr. John.
Yeah, John.
Hi.
Dr. John has done leading research into plant medicines and their use. And time permitting, I'll have you, if you don't mind, explain a little bit more what you do and how you do it. And some of us have worked with Dr. John personally and have had amazing experiences and healings happen. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to be passing around a baby alpaca blanket I got in Cusco, Peru, so you can just feel the love, literally. They call baby alpaca the finest in the world, and no animals were harmed in the process. They were probably pleasured in the process instead of harmed, so you can feel good about it, literally. So, baby alpaca.
Meaning
I want
it
it back
comes
on
from a baby alpaca.
Yeah, a baby alpaca was shaved. Maybe it was too hot in the summers. They shaved the baby alpaca and strung it out into some sweet, soft wool. And what got me there, this is in Cusco, Peru, that when I was buying it, they were like, well, it's also medicinal. I'm like, well, then sign me up.
Yeah.
You know, it's medicinal. So we have some of our attendees today as well. But the talk will be about indigenous plant medicine and this healing center that we all went to. So we're covering on what makes this medicine unique, how it fits into naturopathic medicine, the highlights of our journey. And I've been coordinating this since 2012. It started with my experience as a med student, and then how to get more information. So this was our group of intrepid souls from just literally a few weeks ago. And if I could embarrass you, intrepid souls, you don't have to say anything. You at least just stand up to show that you made it and you made it back. So
I'm here. I'm alive.
thank you. So we got.
Better than ever.
Thank you. We have Dr. Joe in the back. Dr. Joe is the medical doctor who had co-founded this center in Peru, and also featuring Ricardo with that lovely smile of his. He has the best laugh in the world. He's the master shaman who does the ceremonies. He's done thousands of these ceremonies with plant medicine, and we'll explain more what that's about. Behind Joe and Ricardo on the left, there's Martina, and here's another staff member participant. And this is Kelly, a friend of mine who had joined us as a travel partner. She's very interested in naturopathic medicine, does holistic work herself. And we have Joe, Aaron, Ashley, shamaness in the front who sang during the ceremonies. Amanda and Michael. So, motley crew indeed. So this was a trip I discovered when I was a first year at SCNM, and Dr. Joe Tafur had done a lecture at a local herb store called Southwest Herbs, and the talk was about indigenous shamanism and Amazonian plant medicine, and there was an MD running it. I'm like, wow, I gotta check this out. So I attended the talk, and he talked about how, as a med student, he wasn't quite satisfied with what they were teaching him. He was miserable going to allopathic school, and literally what they were giving out for depression was Prozac, like popping like candy. And he's like, this isn't working for me. And that got him on his own exploration. What else is there? And that's when he began researching that psilocybin mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, were used for treating depression. And that made him go, what else is out there? What else is working for helping me, helping us, helping people, more than just the pharmacological single drug, single mechanism approach? And so he went on his own journey, exploring his roots. He's Colombian in his family roots. He went to UCSD as a medical student and did a psychiatry residency nearby, and lives and practices in Arizona right now. That's one of his homes, residences. So he was really just disillusioned with the system. He told me he hated residency, and it took a while to feel human again. So this discovery of his was part of his own journey to reconcile his work as a healer. He was trained formally, but didn't quite feel like that nourished his soul. So over time, he began researching, studying. He began taking trips down to South America, and began studying with different shamans, and discovered this particular path, curanderismo, which is basically the word for healing, like the healing gifts of the shamans in Peru. And over time, he co-founded a center with Svita Mamek, who's a visionary artist, and Ricardo, who is this master shaman who's practiced shamanism for 20, 30 years. And the center is located in just north of Iquitos. So Iquitos, as you can see, is the northernmost big city in Peru that's completely surrounded by water. And there's a local flight that gets there from Lima Airport. And a little bit farther north of there is a tributary, the Nanay River, that is connected to the Amazon. So literally, the center he located was at the mouth of the Amazon in the rainforest, which is a phenomenal piece of land. And what you see here, that's the picture of one of the Amazon tributaries as we're kind of like descending into Iquitos. So it's in the lungs of Mother Earth. It's a really fabulous experience just to go in and of itself. So what makes unique, Niue Rao is the center that I brought everyone to, and I've been working with for a number of years. I first went there in 2012. I spent about a month there. I got all my clinical work done early. I was a first-year med student getting into my second. And I knew after I heard Dr. Joe talk, I knew I had to go down there. And I did everything I could to get all my clinical work done, so I had a huge summer gap to spend as much time as possible there and study what he did. And we'll talk about some of the science as well. Dr. Joe mentioned the science, which was fascinating to me. So the center itself is based on a 3,000-year tradition of shamanic medicine. It's in the tradition of Shipibo medicine. We'll have a chance to hear some beautiful Shipibo-inspired Icaros music that is very healing to the soul shortly here. And it offers healing and education for pasajeros from all over the world. It's also doing traditional plant medicine dietas. So what does that mean? Well, as naturopaths, we talk about nature cure and getting back to our roots, literally. This is a full-blown, authentic, indigenous nature cure experience. This is what they've done and discovered for thousands of years. It involves clean air, sunshine, water, food, delicious, clean food, and an herb regimen that is tailored to you. And from there, you have a chance to do some exploration of yourself and some deep healing. So they also offer healing ceremonies and apprenticeship programs. One of the few clinics in the whole country that is medically supervised, number one, and Also, number two, offering full-blown apprenticeships. So what does it mean to be a shaman? And what is a shaman? Well, a shaman in the understanding of the shaman is somebody, well, my mentor, Stanley Krippner, had a good definition. He said somebody who leaves the tribe, goes out and gets information to bring it back to offer healing for the rest of the tribe. So a shamanic healer does some sort of journey, whether you call it a mental journey, a spiritual or emotional journey, out of the current situation. Let's say he's stuck, she's stuck, patients are stuck, and accesses information to offer healing value to the patient. So it's very rare. Traditionally, to become a true shaman, you might spend months in isolation in a hut, and breaking yourself down, connecting with nature, connecting with the spirits. This is something that they offer. There are shamanic apprentices that literally spend 3 to 6 months or longer in these dietas. You live in a hut in the jungle, and once in a while, daily, they'll bring you food. And you have the basic needs met, but you're expected to stay in isolation. But you have the guidance of the shaman and the staff to make sure that you're okay and that you're developing. But many people go through profound transformations being in that environment where you're used to having all these, we're used to our cell phones or our smartphones and all our BFFs, right? And you're stressed too. It becomes like a friend we're familiar with. So all those things drop. The indigenous people, I tried to explain when I first went down there what stress was, and they just looked at me kind of funny. I know some Spanish. My mother was born in Venezuela, so I know enough to get by, but we didn't connect on that term. They're like constantemente tranquilo, always peaceful. So another concept there about just a different worldview, a different way of living. So the patients who come here may have had addictions of one form or the other. They may be looking for solutions after they've tried everything else. Traumas are very common to deal with. But on the other hand, you're not just coming to get rid of a negative or deal with that, but also to approach a positive. I came because I wanted to develop myself and explore spiritually and continue healing myself, because I knew the more I heal myself, the better the healer and doctor I'd be, moving forward professionally. You can't really go any farther up the hill than you've gone yourself. And this is a very big mind-body approach. Some of the patients who've gone to another tribe I spoke with that works with these type of plant medicines, there were a number of 4 cases, I believe, of patients who infertility was the issue, and they couldn't conceive, and the labs were normal, so that there was no organic reason why. But they did a number of these types of ceremonies, and later, Jessica, who heard about them, said they were able to conceive, which was an amazing discovery. So what happens when we get there? The first thing is we drink a vomitivo. So that's the name of the plant. That's what the plant looks like. It's called ayucena. It's like an onion, garlicky taste, and it's a purgative. So you go there as soon as you arrive, everyone goes through this. It's a little bowl of milk you drink, and you try to fight it, but nope. 20 minutes later, bleh, like Kenny, right? South Park. So this is one of the first processes we go through. And as well, when we arrive, we have the staff that greets us. Svita is the visionary artist. Visionary artistry is a very big tradition in Peru because it relates to how they see the world in this magical way. We have some visionary art around here on our respective garments. Like this is examples of visionary art that, they see the world in this magical way. I got this shawl in Cusco as well, 12,000 feet at altitude. But it's very colorful. This relates to some of the visions and colors that people experience, and it's in the culture too. So this is Ricardo as well, and Dr. Joe Tefort. So another part of the center is Master Plant Remedies. So when we do an intake, we talk about what do we want to experience? Why are we here? What are my goals? And Ricardo hears this, and Dr. Joe translates for him. Ricardo then assigns you a daily plant medicine to drink. One of my classmates, she had GI issues, so she was prescribed Bowaska, which was a very thick root that grows in the jungle, and they made a daily tea for her. That was to work with her GI. But it's not simply the biochemical properties of it that you're ingesting. you're actually ingesting the whole essence and spirit of it, if you will, the energetic properties, because during the ceremonies, held 4 nights a week, Ricardo actually opens the spirit of that plant to connect you to it. So this is their worldview. It's not simply the biochemical properties and benefits. You're actually connecting with the energy and the essence of the plant, and it has a certain intelligence that if you go, you have a chance to experience. It's something you have to see it to believe it, or feel it to believe it. But you do connect with the essence and the intelligence. And that's the worldview regarding nature as sentient, intelligent beings. One of my favorite books to describe that scientifically was called The Secret Life of Plants. And this was studies of Bastyr. Bastyr was a researcher who applied a polygraph machine to 2 different plants. And one polygraph was connected to plant A, and on plant B, he was like, okay, watch this. Watch this. Here's some hot water. I'm going to pour it on plant B. And he's threatening to pour hot water on a plant and harm it. And this other plant, the polygraph machine goes, ee, like it responds. And this was some of the data to indicate that plants had a sentient property to them. They weren't simply a series of biochemical reactions. They were living essences that we share. We share that same pranic property of aliveness. So Ricardo opens up the dieta by singing to this plant, opening up so you connect to it every single day. So that's part of your medicine. And the kind of nature and animals there, the connection to nature is phenomenal. I absolutely fell in love with her, Francesca, and Francesca gave birth to a puffball. I mean, come on, that's so cute. And Ricardo loves birds, so he had some parrots that parrot us. This lovely critter supposedly came with the house that was for sale down the street for like $20,000. So, talk about sustainable living. And cuteness on top of it. And look at the dog's eyes. I mean, those are not any normal eyes. They're cosmic eyes. And nature seems to reflect that magic of the land down there. The dieta we have is very, very clean and light. It's enough food to get by, but the focus isn't about indulgence. Really, the dieta is about refraining from things that you would think would hurt a plant. You don't eat excessive fats, no excessive salts, no sugar, and actually no sex. So you think about corticosteroid pathways, and it's as if we're reserving taxing those for instead shunting them for our own healing. But there's very light meat there. By that I mean they'll have fish occasionally, but some eggs, a lot of different potatoes, papas, salads, some snacks like teas and apples, bananas. So you have enough food, but really they want to keep it clean and light. So your body is spending more time on healing itself rather than processing. But this is once more the nature cure using food. Food is your medicine, and medicine is your food. So the crux of this healing medicine is ayahuasca. And who has heard about ayahuasca? Who has not heard about ayahuasca? Okay. So as Dr. John explained to me as well, a lot of people think ayahuasca is something different from what it actually is. Ayahuasca is one component of a ceremonial beverage, and it's usually mixed with another component. But ayahuasca itself has MAOIs, has alkaloids, has a multitude of phytonutrients and phytochemicals that have medicinal properties. Recently, and I'll show the link as well, Dr. John had sent me a link showing that ayahuasca itself helps stimulate neurogenesis, regeneration of neurons. So this could have interesting applications with Alzheimer's, dementia, and other traumatic brain injury cases, and prevention as well. So what does the MAOI do? Well, it allows our serotonin to recycle itself and not break itself down. So this is what some of the vines look like when they're mature. The center actually grows them on site. And as well, what the ayahuasca is mixed with is the chacruna. Chacruna is the leaves, a separate plant, that are mixed together and boiled. And the leaves have a high concentration of DMT, which can produce visions for some people. This is natural and occurring in our bodies, normally breaks down quickly, but due to the MAOIs, it stays. So DMT has had some interesting research with Rick Strassman, who's an MD who wrote DMT and the Spirit Molecule, and he basically studied terminal cancer patients, terminal patients who were afraid to die, and we injected DMT in their bodies. They got a glimpse of what they considered the spirit realm and were no longer afraid of death. They understood what was beyond them. So supposedly DMT is in our brain in highest concentrations when we're born and when we die, but also during peak experiences like orgasms, spiritual experiences. So this opens the doorway to facilitating a transcendental experience, and that in and of itself can be very healing because, it really, to feel that we're disconnected from ourselves, from each other, from nature is a very isolating feeling, and that to me is part of the modern day illness, if you will. So during the ceremonies, we enter this maloka. It's a healing temple. It looks like a spaceship on the inside. It's built amazingly with a series of intersecting circular rafters, if you will, without posts going down. So you look up and it literally feels like a spaceship. We all sit around in the circle, each have a mat. There's a number of shamans, there's staff in the front, and we do this 4 nights a week. And that's where Ricardo opens the ceremony. But prior to that, we drink this tea that's passed around. The tea is optional. The ayahuasca tea is not required. But also, I should be more careful about my nomenclature. By drinking ayahuasca, we mean the la medicina. La medicina is the mix, when the two are mixed together and prepared on site lovingly for hours and hours and days until they're boiled down to a paste, like a tea, that some people say tastes varyingly interesting. So, but not all, sometimes medicines are bitter, and that's part of the sacrifice you take and make by taking this medicine. So we all gather in this ceremony, and again, the tea is optional. Mainly, you get healing benefits simply by sitting in the ceremony, in the circle. Where white is recommended to wear, so the energies can come to you. And we all have a mat. We'll sit around next to each other. We're asked not to eat too much beforehand. And away we go. Often Ricardo has 2 or 3 shamans or shamanesses with him. There's a number of staff, so everyone's well accounted for and secure. There's staff waiting outside for making sure we can get to the bathroom if we need to, and just helping us feel safe and protected. There's actually security guards 24/7. Not that I've ever felt, or they've ever felt they've had to use it, but it's telling the whole worlds that, look, this is a safe space. We're here to do our healing work. And that's an important consideration because there are, I've heard stories, horror stories of tourism, people coming down to foreign countries, well, even here as well, and having less than pleasant experiences. So this is a center I feel comfortable sending my own mama there. And that says a lot because, I trust in the integrity of the process of having traveled there myself and brought over 4 or 5 dozen people now. So this is the DMT spirit molecule I talked about. This is endogenous. This is produced in our own body from tryptophan to 5-HT. If you hear about 5-HTP, we take if we're depressed. Often that pathway needs reinforcing. Serotonin gets converted to melatonin, which gets converted to DMT in the pineal gland and in the lungs. I recently discovered from doing breath work with Michael Baker that lungs produce DMT as well. That's why breathing is so emphasized in yogic traditions to help facilitate a cosmic experience so we know who we are. Not simply the matrix. We enter the world of the avatar with this, with our own practice, with our own breathing, with our own remembrance. So this is a study showing that in functional MRI, the same imagery that's facilitated using La Medicina is the same parts of the brain that are activated for imagery purposes. So you think about in hypnosis, I took medical hypnosis, that was part of my PhD training as well, and the brain cannot distinguish between a real or an imagined event. So let's just say we have a trauma case that comes in, and it was a car accident, and we keep reliving that. Somehow during these experiences of healing, these ceremonies, we hear the song coming to us. We might go through a car accident experience, and it becomes very vivid, courtesy of the DMT and the experience as a whole. So now is a chance to do it right. Now's a chance to call on spirit and make the trauma of the car accident go away, to release it. And it's such a vivid experience that then it helps reprogram the brain. Dr. Joe calls it limbic restructuring because the limbic system gets involved here. We hear stories of purging. Sometimes you'll sweat. Sometimes you'll poop. Sometimes you'll puke. And you may not at all, but that's part of what we consider this limbic system getting activated, the brainstem having these changes that are connected to deep, deep emotional complexes of how and why we experience the world the way that we do. So this is a chance to step out of that. I consider it equivalent, one session perhaps, of 20, 30, 50 traditional psychotherapeutic sessions, because in traditional psychotherapy, talk therapy, we're using the neocortex primarily. We're using the frontal lobes to try to rationalize, reason through why we have something that happened. Here we're going right into it. We're going right into the deep systems, deep structures of our brain, the hippocampus where emotions are stored. And we have a chance to reprogram that. That's what makes this so powerful. They're so transformative. For some, it's the last stop. They've tried everything. Vietnam veteran was one of the case presentations that we did at Grand Rounds. How he tried everything, and during one session he saw, the shaman could see arrows and spikes and nails leave this guy's body, and simultaneously he later reported that he felt the trauma of some of the violence from the war leaving his body. So you're in this created world, a shared space of visions that tremendous healing can happen. This was Dr. John's link to me about ayahuasca stimulating neurogenesis. This is just ayahuasca itself, not the chacruna. So there's applications of people drinking ayahuasca on a daily basis or frequently to help stimulate this type of healing for themselves. And I'm glad to share this link if you wish. But it's timewheel.net / and all hyphens. Scientists find ayahuasca stimulates birth of new brain cells, without the of, birth new brain cells. So this is just very cutting edge research that we're finding of this mysterious, amazing plant that has been used for thousands of years. So it's just caused me to have a lot of humility and respect for the traditions of the earth and a real passion to experience them again. So Icaro, I'd like to play Icaro from Ricardo. If Dr. John, you could indulge us, please. This is one of the healing songs you'll hear sung to you live by Ricardo. This is a recording of our shaman in Peru, Iquitos, north of Iquitos, live. And you get to plug in and feel the energy. So I'll note that Ricardo doesn't sing this Icaro until after he's had this tea with all of us, and suddenly he feels the shifts going on inside his being, and the song just come out. He was taught by the plants. And so you can hear the birds in the background, and what it's like. So,
like Shipiwa, who says, now I'm going to open the ceremony in the Shipiwa language. Icaros are in different languages, mostly Quechua and Shuar, Ashuar. This is in Shipiwa language.
So this is a little language that, as Dr. John's explaining it, he's invoking, opening the ceremony. So as Ricardo sings, he sings to you a specific song. You actually see your energetic field change, if you will. He'll often, if you're stuck, let's say you're having a bad reaction or a tough memory, the shamans will actually see the darkness. They'll see a stuck part of your body, and they'll sing to that address. And as they sing a particular song with different meaning, it'll actually change you in real time. So this is this amazing interaction that's happening. So this song, this particular Icaros was opening up the ceremony. So with the trained ear, you can actually hear the different, intentions of the song. And this one was different. And the soa I know means clean. Soa soa yojana. And what was this one? The significance? Do you recall?
There's a whole, there's an entire series taking you through ceremony and then going into different songs for different situations. For instance, for detoxing from drugs and a variety.
It's very true. A lot of patients come down there with drug and alcohol addictions. And I'll share a quick story about that. One patient had just been stuck for weeks there, weeks and weeks and weeks stuck. And before that, struggling with alcoholism. During one ceremony, she reported feeling, Ricardo was singing to her, and she literally felt this dark gray being leave her stomach, leave her whole GI tract, to be dispelled, if you will. And it was the spirit of alcoholism. She never wanted alcohol again, and she got transformed. So they look at traumas or stuck parts as energies, malas energías, that they want to clear. With each song is tailored to you and to this different situation. Bless you, bless you. So visionary art is a big component to that experience. Many people do experience visions. It's not about the visions. The visions to me are interesting. They can help guide your healing, but really it's about your own process. But a lot of visionary artists have been born out of this tradition. And so I know a few artists that would once a month do ceremony to rekindle their visions and develop art from that realm. One of the Malokas there at the center has focuses around visionary art. So there's a few centers doing alcohol addiction. The Ayahuasca Project by Dr. Mate, who is working with alcohol addiction in that location in Peru. But it was more successfully than AA. And there's still a lot of exploration to do around that. Also, maps.org is a good resource for you to find more about that. So the worldview of the shamans, it doesn't just include matter and physics or biology, but includes psychology, theology, mysticism, and the spirit. So it's a huge worldview, and where I see the medical paradigm expanding is, physics and biology. We have organic chemistry, we have physiology, we have anatomy. Those are the basic sciences we're rooted in, and that's important. And then we connect with the psychology of counseling to connect with the mind-body skills that we do. And the other realm that then I feel shamanism helps address is the realm of the spirit or the soul. However you want to term it or call it. That's an area we get to address and work with. So as naturopaths, we want to use the healing power of nature here, which we do. Treating the cause, which the shamans is a mind-body, bad energy, if you will. And we're very keen at the center there to do no harm to the patient. And there's a lot of teaching involved because after each ceremony in the morning, we debrief. And we share what we learned, and you make sure everyone's listening in so we can learn from each other. And the center for me is also, this whole journey is about treating the whole person. And ideally, if you stay clean, do your practices, you can prevent future illness as well. By prevention, if we're removing the root cause, which could be a trauma or bad energy, or even an imbalance, that could help prevent the physical manifestation of that. So if somebody's traumatized, there's stories of people repeating that in their life history. My dad didn't love me as a kid, and I keep finding the wrong guy, or my mom did this to me, and I did this. So all these patterns have a chance to be healed and cleared, so we can start fresh. So I wanted to leave some time for Q&A, but before I did that, I wanted to just mention our future retreat that we're planning, and I wanted to have Dr. John talk a little bit about his work and some of the latest research he's involved in regarding ayahuasca, since it's so important and groundbreaking. So we had such a lovely time in Peru that there has been interest in going back. I know I'm certainly going back. I can't get enough of it. I really, it's part of my path in my life, and I'm so delighted to share in the experience as well, that we want to continue this tradition of doing a medical student-focused tour to help illuminate any future generations of healers and doctors. And I really feel this kind of experience now plants a seed for us in the future that we can continue linking to, so we don't lose our way in a complex world, in a jungle of the real world, the unreal real world. So this is a very interesting trip because next year I plan to do 2 weeks. The first week will be in the Amazon, and the second week will be in the Andes. I did that this time. A lot of my counterparts had to come back for shift and classes, which I understand and respect. So next time, the last week of interim clinic will be the week 1, and week 2 will be formal academic break. That's what we're in discussions about right now. So you can actually literally fit in 2 weeks. You're not so rushed. You have a chance to reintegrate. Most people, everyone, literally has come back brighter and bigger and better. And it's like what Michael just said. So, and comes back bigger and better. So it's really not that, but it is nice to have a gentle reintegration, to give yourself time to breathe and experience the new you and just really enjoy the earth too. So week 2 will be in the Andes. And I had a phenomenal time in Cusco and going to Machu Picchu, and the sacred valley there. Ollantaytambo is the sacred valley of Machu Picchu, which is even considered more Machu Picchu than Machu Picchu. It's Cusco was considered the belly button of the world because it has the chi energy, but Ollantaytambo is considered the sacred heart by the Incan Empire. And it has to be experienced to believe. Like, literally every street's cobblestone that the Incans built, and you can live there and hang out there and live in the hostels, and there's water going down every canal, like down the canals of every street. And they consider the water as the meridians, keeping that clean. It's like the meridians of the earth. And all around, I have some pictures, but pictures won't even do it justice. You have to just see it to believe it. All around in the mountains, there's like built-in beings. You can look, and they call them apus. They're beings of the mountains where they do ceremonies that if you do the ceremony properly with the right spirit, you can interact with these deities, these beings, and get blessings and healings. So there's a place called Casa de Wow, which I stayed at, which I highly recommend. It's a hostel. And the goal of this hostel and the city is for your ascension. The Incans had a prophecy for ascension and living in the heart before the conquistadors came in with the mind. And isn't that part of our imbalance right now? The mind, the mind, the mind. OMG, OMG, I got this to do, that to do. And then how do we just get still and enjoy? And how many of our patients, so many patients I've seen on these mind-body shifts have mental, physical imbalances and stress management. Can't get to sleep. You can't get to sleep. Your cortisol's imbalanced. Your body breaks down. All these important basics that we reconnect with. And of course, horse riding. If anyone wants to go horse riding on the cliff, again with me, yay. I see a hand back there. Thank you. So there'll be 4 ceremonies, which is plenty. And guided by the master shamans, the staff, and Dr. Tufor, we'll have time to debrief. And basically, we're offering it as a waitlist basis right now. We want to give the 4th years the first chance, but you're welcome to bring a +1. And also, we will consider others in the community. This is a community event. As last year, we will do a discounted package rate for students. And I just like traveling as a group, so we're done safely, it's insured. I plan to be there. You have medical supervision. And it's very simple if you'd like to have any interest in it. Just at the very least, we're just gathering interest right now, and you'd be the first to start contacting us. And anyone listening in the same thing, email us at healingjourneys trust, HEALING journeys, JOURNEYS trust @gmail.com. Preferably non-Bastyr email, because sometimes I find Bastyr emails get stuck or lost or not delivered. And just include your contact information, phone number, and how interested are you. And that'll help us at least get the first level of interest. We already have a few people who are quite interested in going next year again. So it's going to be better than ever. Each year it gets better and better. And it's part of something, part of a phenomenon, really is. This is the future of medicine, really is. The ancient future. And there's now science coming in to help validate, understand these profound experiences and insights that we have. So that's the end of our formal presentation. If you don't mind coming up, and Dr. John, come and share a little bit about what you do and the latest research. And we have a few minutes for that. So So Dr. John also knows the center in Peru, and